Millions of South Africans as a result of the issue of service delivery or the lack of it, and it forms the basis of these election debates that we're conducting throughout the country. And Leanne is attending one of them at the Mangosuthu University of Technology, and we cross over to her right now. A very good morning to you again, Leanne. What you got for us?
All right, welcome back to where our home for our broadcast is this morning, the Mangosuthu University, the Technology University that is here in Umlazi. And one of the interesting facts here in the province is the state of the universities, and it's been a massive issue, grabbing headlines since the beginning of this year. I mean, this particular university only got the academic year underway last week, and that's very, very late into the year. So obviously there's contingency plans in place to ensure that the academic year actually finishes. But there's still universities in the province that are struggling under the demands of the student and trying to find an amicable way when it comes to funding, when it comes to accommodation and other issues that the students are demanding from the universities. But we'll try and discuss that a bit later. Basically what we're doing is going on roadshows throughout the country, and last week we focused in on Gauteng. Today is the moment we shine the torch and the light on KwaZulu-Natal. Many issues. This of course is a very big stronghold of the ANC. It received the lion's share of the votes in the last elections. But of course you've got a lot of competitors that are coming up and stepping up to the plate here in this province due to, I think, largely what's happening within the ANC. And we're going to get a little bit of analysis now. Before we talk to the political parties, we'll only be talking to the political parties towards the end of the broadcast. We first want to get an idea of what it is that is happening within the party, what the problem, not the party, the province, what the problems are, and the best party to solve them. So, a familiar guest that we do have on the show, Xolani Dube from the Xubera Institute, is here to talk us through some of those issues. Great to have you. Welcome to the show, and nice to meet you in person this time.
I'm the one who's supposed to say I'm really happy to meet you.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. All right, so I talked to KwaZulu-Natal. This is ANC territory, it really is. I mean, in Umlazi, where we are, this is a very strong hold within the ANC. But they're expecting the results to be better than they've ever done before. Do you think so? Have the ANC still got that power in the province?
Look, I think the ANC in this province is still got an upper hand, despite the fact that within its organization there are some kind of factions that are happening. But the fact of the matter is, what brings this faction together is what is so important for them, is the survival. And so I think to a certain extent, as we have seen the January 8 campaign here in the province, as we have seen how they've won some certain wards in this province, it shows that the ANC is coming together and is trying to gel so that when it comes to the real issue of the election, everyone to a certain extent do have an opportunity to feast in that table of patronage that the government departments and so forth always bring to the political party that is in power.
Can we talk to factionalism? Because we all know that this is a great province who, in terms of support towards our former president Jacob Zuma, was massive. Now, it received a big blow at the ANC conference when we saw that Zuma he was out, and Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma didn't come in, and yet Cyril Ramaphosa is now our president. And that was where we saw a big change happening and a shift of power. But there's so much talk of unity in this province. Is it working?
Look, I think it's going to be kind of a plastic unit. It's going to be a temporary unity because, as I've said, there is something that is at stake. Is their livelihood, and their livelihood is depending on the election results. And so I don't think that there is anyone who's going to work against each other here. But the main worrying factor is post the elections. What is it going to happen where everyone is comfortable and others are not comfortable? And also the issue of Zuma, you have to understand that to a certain extent Zuma is a serious factor in this province, and especially on the ANC side, and he has managed to present a united front for the ANC, and I guess a number of people in this province, because he's a charismatic leader, you can't simply argue against that. And now they are starting to listen to him, and also they are starting to warm up to the ANC. But as I've said, the ANC is going to win these elections, But the fact of the matter is, post this election, what is happening to that plastic unity?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the municipal elections, the provincial elections that we saw happening in 2016, I think for the first time in ever, the ANC dropped below that 60% mark. Although in the national elections in 2014 they were way above that 60% mark, but they dropped in the municipal elections. Do you see them getting back above that?
Look, I think the local municipality elections were kind of an indicator of the reality that a number of people are no longer that happy the way the ANC conducts itself. And I'm glad that you have raised that point, because there are pockets of hostility within the electoral constituents of the ANC, especially in the urban areas, like here at eThekwini. The ANC at eThekwini in the past has been dominating beyond the 2/3, but in these recent past elections, they were at the 50-something, 53 or 54%. And so it shows that in urban areas, the urban and highly educated, so-called black middle class, are no longer really loyal to the historical rhetoric, but they are more concerned about social delivery.
So who would they vote for? I mean, let's bring other parties into this now.
It's very interesting, the question, because in Gauteng, if you remember, during the last elections, they said Jacob Zuma, he is the one who might cost them. And they were not even willing to use his face in campaigning. But recently, the Institute for Race Relations, they made it clear that the ANC is also appealing to the whites for them to rescue in terms of the election results. And so even here in the province, I think the educated people, as I've said, they are no longer the prison of history. They are no longer listening to what the ANC really is saying, but they want tangible things. They want people who've got morals and ethical leadership. And so I think that what might put the ANC to a very bad position when it comes to moral and ethical leadership, and also coming to the issue of young people as a huge chunk of an electorate in these coming elections. And if you have seen around KwaZulu-Natal, the EFF has made some inroads, especially in tertiary institutions. And so one starts to wonder if those inroads can translate to votes.
Because I mean, if you look at what the EFF did, I mean, they in 2014 they were only around for a very short time, and since then the EFF have really made strong inroads, as you have said. They got 1.97% of the vote. I mean, do you see them doubling that or even more?
Look, I think they have an opportunity, but the fact of the matter is the leadership of EFF in the province is a very weak one. Are the people who are not known compared to other political organizations. And bear in mind that KwaZulu-Natal is a very conservative province. It's a province whose electorate, they go with someone who is known, someone who's old, someone who has been there. And so Vuskoza and your Mwango from the DA, they might cost this political organization when it comes to the electorate, because they are young, they are not known, they are not even charismatic.
Very quickly, two or three more issues, because I need to swap over. We're going to talk business in the province now, but there was a big development within the DA, and there was a movement from Sizwe Mkhunu. He crossed the floor, leaving the DA to the ANC. Some say this is a very big blow for the DA, but the DA are saying, listen, our party's not just one man, so you know that's really not a big deal. Is it a big deal? Are the DA still strong in this province?
Look, I think an individual is not a factor in any political organization, because the electorate have already made their minds. Who are they going to vote for? And so the conflict that was between Mwango and Mkhunu in this province, I think is one of the things that is ravaging the DA nationally, because there is these things of Black caucus versus the so-called the conservatives within the DA. And so if that thing is also going to become a serious factor across across the country. I think we have seen it in the Western Cape, where Patricia simply left that organization. And so same thing is happening in other provinces, where in Gauteng no one is really comfortable what has been happening between Msimanga and Magashule, because Magashule was expected to campaign as the premier of that province, but all of a sudden he was taken over by Msimanga. And so also not the so comfortable seat of Musa Makhanya. And so it begs a lot of question about the unity and the capability of DA being the rally or being the main opposition party in the next sixth parliamentary session.
Very quickly, two other big parties here that we need and certainly cannot ignore. I mean, the IFP. It's a very big stronghold here in KwaZulu-Natal. Do you see them getting more votes? I mean, we're dealing with a very old leader. You were speaking to the youth.
Yes.
And I don't know if the youth are sort of attracted to our IFP leader, who is he 90 now? How old is he?
Look, IFP is frozen in the past.
Okay, but do voters know that?
The voters are quite aware. Are quite aware. Bear in mind that there is an exodus from rural areas to urban areas. And so that exodus is also eating in the constituency of the IFP. And also, as I've said, IFP is frozen in the past. Yeah. They can't really break that mold and present kind of a modern political organization, of which I think is a serious setback for the IFP.
Big time. And then, of course, there's the NFP as well. But we'll talk to them a little bit more. I mean, they managed to get 6.5% in the previous election. Just leadership there. You think
there is a crisis, as much as there is a crisis in the minority front. And so, as I'm saying, I think the most strongest political organization is your DA, is your EFF, as well as the ANC. But I can assure you, ANC is going to take this province, maybe followed by the DA and then the EFF. But as I'm saying, the IFP need to break that mold of being a conservative and an old party that is frozen in the past.
Xolani, thank you very much for talking to us. I'm going to move on very quickly now, and I'm going to invite my next guest to come in, because as much as we've spoken about the political atmosphere here and the different political parties that you find here contesting the big parties here in the province, we need to talk to business and investment here in the province, because that's always an issue, and politics is at the root of the investment. And someone to talk to this is Musa Makhanya. He's the president of the Chamber of Commerce in Durban. Musa, great to have you. Business obviously have their hopes when it comes to these elections. What are you hoping for come elections 2019?
Well, the biggest hope that business always has is that elections assure us of peace. Peace not only for our country, but also for the region, and also peace for the world. In order for us to have peace, we need to have a functioning government. So we're hoping that after the elections, we're going to have a government that is functioning, a government that is going to be able to deliver the services that are required by both the business community and also by society. We're also hoping that we would be able to have a sound business environment where business is going to be able to thrive, because we know that when that happens, then it means the tax base, also grows, and therefore we are able to meet the needs of society. There are also issues around equitable, resources. The issues of land, we are hoping that after this they are going to be dealt with so that there's certainty around that. Yeah, we know that when there is uncertainty around the issues of land, for example, you've got billions of rands that are held back as investments. So we're hoping that after the elections, those things are going to be very clear.
Land it's a very interesting topic, and I'm glad that you've brought this up. In terms of land here in the province, I know that this has been perhaps one of the most heated conversations here in KwaZulu-Natal. How badly has that affected business and investment going forward? Because, I mean, there is very big arable land here in KZN.
Well, it has affected business to a greater extent, because if you've got investments that are held back because people are not sure of how the ownership is going to go. We have investors that want to invest along our coastline, for example. They're holding back. There are guys who are wanting to go into farming. They can't go back because they are not sure if there's a land claim there. So that is all around, that is adding to the uncertainty that we are hoping that after the elections it will be dealt with, so that we can release these investments that are held back.
Yeah. Corruption as well. I mean, corruption at all levels and in every province is a major issue. But if we can focus here on KwaZulu-Natal, one of the big things that we were talking about in the previous interview was the fact that people are looking to a party that isn't corrupt. People are looking to a party that is going to deliver. And I imagine business is exactly the same way. Unfortunately, we've noted more and more that corruption and business go hand in hand. But let's talk to business and the view of corruption within government levels.
We've touched on some of the very key pillars of peace in any country, and keeping corruption to the lowest possible levels is one of the conditions for having peace. So if we do not keep corruption in check, of course we are headed for difficult times, as the recent past indicates. So corruption by both the private and public sectors is something that we are hoping that whoever comes into power is going to really deal with that, because it does have negative effects not only for the business community but for society at large.
Yeah. Opportunities in KZN. I mean, we always talk to tourism in KwaZulu-Natal, and Durban in particular it's got a huge amount of tourists coming in and out. But when you look at service delivery, when you look at perhaps, whether we're talking to water, whether we're talking to electricity, issues that we're all facing, but where are the major opportunities in tourism here in the province?
Well, in terms of tourism, there are quite huge opportunities. There's something that we are not exploiting a lot, the relationship between education and tourism. For example, if we get our education institutions like this one where we are at, get them to offer the level of education that would attract people from throughout the continent, to here, you would in that way as well ensure that you increase your level of tourism, because then they have families and people that come through to see them. However, KwaZulu-Natal is the second manufacturing sector in the country, and there are huge opportunities in that space too. So it is really an area of growth if we can get all our ducks in a row in terms of getting the economy going.
Excellent. Well, Musa, thanks for talking to us and just giving us a perspective from business when it comes to the elections and the issues facing the province. But I think at the top of it all is, business go where corruption seems to be under wraps and where corruption is not an issue, and yet it's a big battle throughout the country and throughout the provinces, and that's what business are looking towards. Free, fair, equitable elections and ridding political parties of corruption. So that's the ideal world. Let's see if it all happens. Thanks so much for talking to us. From the Durban Chamber of Commerce, Musa Makhanya. He, of course, is the president of the chamber. Let us now go back to Johannesburg.